Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so very much for joining us today with Speak Up and Empower with Real Talk Travel. And yes, we have an adventure that's waiting for you today. Obviously, we all are anxious to get out there. Some people are already doing it, but we are soon ready to book and get going. But Speak Up and Empower is an online-based community, and it's filled with experts who have something important to say and share with the world. And I'm with Real Talk Travel. We have definitely a special guest, Russco, with us. And this is a very great, awesome tour operator called Adventures, because small groups, I think, are moving ahead, what they can do for us, what they can provide. And Sean, welcome. And thank you very much for joining us today, because tell us all about Adventures and what makes it so special and why people want to connect with these Adventures and small group travel.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Susan, for having me on with this fantastic community. So yeah, let's get started on here. So my name's Sean. I'm the National Sales Manager here in Canada for Adventures. And what I want to do with my time with you today is kind of have, again, like an open dialogue. So if there's any questions, feel free to pop them in, and I'm sure Susan can direct them my way, and then Susan will jump in as well. But what I wanted to do is kind of talk to you a little bit about who we are as an organization, why we're a little bit different, and I'm going to utilize some really great videos in this as well. That's just going to help paint the picture. And I'm going to start off with one just to kick things off. Maybe. There we go. It's coming up.
Resolutions. We make big ones, small ones, and some slightly unusual ones. But they all have one thing in common. They're about looking forward, moving forward, and all the life-changing changes that happen along the way. So as that light at the end of the tunnel keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we continue to look forward to exploring our big, beautiful world again, isn't it time we all made resolutions to travel better too? Because if we commit to eat, sleep, and shop local as much as we can wherever we go, if we vow to visit local communities in a way that empowers the people who live there, and if we pledge to protect the wild, roaring planet around us, you won't just be traveling our world, you'll be changing it just by having the time of your life. So let's look forward together. Let's make a resolution to make a difference. Let's retravel. Book your next adventure today and start looking forward to changing our world.
And the perfect way to look forward and to book your next adventure is with one of our wonderful travel professionals like Susan. At the end of the day, Adventures is a social enterprise, and our focus really is on the idea of community tourism. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but a little bit about us as we scale back, I guess, the layers of the onion is one, we're a 100% Canadian-owned company. We are founded back in 1990, making us 31 years old this year, by a gentleman named Bruce Poonsip, who is pictured here. And we did things a little bit unconventional from the get-go. So while people tend to start companies with, large savings or bank loans or whatever the case may be, we decided to do it off the back of personal credit cards and go into debt right away. But Bruce's idea was really just to have that focus around the connectivity that travel does, and to look behind the scenes and see what makes the people, the cultures, and the destinations we go to unique, and not try to North Americanize everything we do. We want you to be in Vietnam and realize you're in Vietnam for the good, bad, and indifferent and experiences. Not go to, say, an island in the Caribbean, and if you close your eyes, you couldn't tell where you actually are. It's all about the same kind of things. And what we focus around is the idea of our world deserves more you. And the idea of that is just really around, we travel to understand and appreciate, but we also have to remember when we interact with people in different destinations, they learn and understand about us, So I might go to a remote village in Africa, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a really cool experience, and I'm learning X, Y, Z about it. But I also have to be conscious that I am representing my country. I might be the first Canadian they've ever met. So any sort of stereotypes, or whatever the case may be, are going to be contrived from my interactions. So when we say is, when you go travel, bring the best version of yourself, right? Because the world deserves to understand you as much as you need to understand them. And what we do is we design all of our trips around what we refer to as travel styles. And these are different activities or experiences that you might encounter when you're traveling with us. And we'll go into that into a little depth as well. But what we do as an organization is, well, we send over 200,000 travelers in the normal times around the world. We bring people from 127 different countries with us to all of the countries we visit. We have over 800 different itineraries out there, and we visit over 100 different countries through that. And because of that, we have such a global stance, right? We have over 700 different employees around the globe, spread across all 6 continents. And the idea of that is, it's the best thing to do is to have someone from that country, knowing that culture, knowing everything about that, to give you that experience whilst you're traveling.
I think that's important. If you have a local person giving those tours, and they're certainly going to, we lost him. Oh, Sean, we lost you. Maybe he'll come back on. But G-Adventures, yes, lost you there for a second.
That's weird. Okay.
Okay, and we'll need your presentation back up. But yeah, I was just saying that it's so amazing that you incorporate the local people so that we learn more, they learn more, and certainly it enhances the travel for sure.
Absolutely. And the idea of the world deserves more you is really summarized in this next little snippet I have to share with you.
Our world has seen a lot of change, and we remember many of the biggest changes. But the truth is, you don't have to go to the moon to change the world. You just have to go to Peru, or Sri Lanka, or maybe Namibia, Thailand, Tanzania, anywhere really, so long as you bring yourself. Bring your smile to Marissa, dance it out at Vic Falls, count your blessings in candy. Because our world deserves more of your perspective, your laughter, your generosity, your curiosity. Our world already has its Neil Armstrongs. Today it deserves more Shireens, more Mashongas, more Peter Bartrams, more Daves from finance. So go wherever far is to you. Because wherever you go, you open yourself up to change. And the more small changes we all make, the bigger our world becomes. Our world deserves more. Our world deserves more you.
And that just builds around the philosophies that I kind of mentioned earlier on. Is there the word adventure, the idea of adventure is really subjective. And we always say go as far as you feel comfortable, because you can find a really great experience close to home. And even if you've been to a destination before in a different style of experience, you can go and have an amazing experience that is unlike something you've had prior. And that's what's really great about the world of adventure, right? And there's also some really fun things that are kind of built into that business model or that idea. And it starts off with the size of our groups, right? We believe in small, right? Adventure is supposed to be small because the idea is you shouldn't stick out like a sore thumb. I'm sure you've all seen, or maybe you've even traveled on some of these types of experiences before, where your tour leader has like a flag, or you get a little like megaphone or something like that.
Exactly.
Our groups are about small. They're supposed to blend in. You're not supposed to be like, oh, there's a tour group there's a tour group there kind of idea. And all of our tours are run by someone from that destination, so they know the ins and outs. And it's great from a historical and a cultural perspective, but from a practical perspective, it's also great. So if you need something, they know exactly where to go and who to go to, which is phenomenal. We also want to ensure that we leave the world in the same or better place that we visit at. So that's the idea of supporting the local economy, supporting the local communities. And we build that into what we refer to as G for Good. And our G for Good is just really ensuring that we plan every single detail out when we're building our itineraries and our experiences to ensure that A, you, the traveler, are having an amazing time and get a worthwhile experience, but B, the community sees the benefit of tourism, right? It's a two-way street, and we can't expect to go somewhere and just take. We have to give with that. And that falls into
Sorry, I was just going to say that's what G Ventures is so known for, and I think that's important for everybody in the world, here in Canada, other places who haven't discovered G Adventures, to know more about G Adventures in that aspect.
Absolutely, yeah. And what we do is we break these into 3 different pillars, right? Our Ripple score, which is a simple idea of basically rating every one of our trips on a scale of 1 to 100, 100 being the maximum, to see how much money stays within that host country, which is a phenomenal thing. We've built all sorts. We've got some really great responsible travel policies. I'll touch on a couple of them because they make us kind of unique. And then we have Planetera, which is our non-for-profit organization. And the Planetera Foundation was founded by Bruce, our founder, but it's a standalone entity to G Adventures. But it was named after his daughter, Tara. And the idea of this is a hand up, not a handout. So what we do is we work with local communities to determine ways that tourism can be a benefit to them. So, for instance, in Peru, as an example, there's an opportunity there to visit. Well, there's multiple opportunities, but one of the opportunities is to go to a community-based restaurant that we help build. It's basically in the Sacred Valley, where every option that you have is just a subpar buffet, really. But what this is an opportunity for locals to create a community garden, which the whole community benefits from. And then we get an amazing 6-course, I think it's 6, maybe 7-course meal, and we see the chefs. And then from an operational perspective, we can utilize the facilities as well to train our cooks when they go on the Inca Trail. So it's a win-win for everyone on there. But if you're interested in learning a little bit more, planetera.org as well. And you know what, when you go on our trips, Susan can highlight them, but pretty much the majority of our trips have one of these experiences as well on there. And the next thing is focusing around what we're doing to make the planet and its inhabitants in reality a little bit more safe. So we designed an animal welfare policy with our friend Jane Goodall. And the idea of this is very simple, is let wildlife have a wildlife. So we have a strict policy. There's no riding of elephants. There's no swimming with dolphins. There's none of those ideas. The idea is we can go out and appreciate animals within a safe from a safe distance in an habitat that is normal to them. So it's one of those differential points that we do have as an organization, and something we're very proud of. And you can still have an amazing wildlife experiences, just not on the back of them, for instance.
I think that's great, because then the animals feel safe as well. So we're thinking of their well-being plus the people. So what better way to see them is in their natural habitat, the true way that they were meant to be seen.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you kind of segue that perfectly into people as well, right? The people aspect is we've got a 2-prong approach. So the first one is understanding and appreciating when we're working with Indigenous individuals, right? And this is a picture of one of the examples we have in northern Thailand. And when you get north of like a Chiang Mai and such like that, you get into this hill trek tribe scenario where there's this amazing active experience you can have, but when it comes to the accommodations and such like that, they're not there, right? They're staying with local families and such. So this is an opportunity to understand and appreciate how the Indigenous individuals of that community live, whilst getting an authentic experience that you'll never get anywhere else. So it's just working with them to be also advocates for their causes and their concerns, and to know that tourism has their back, and not to exploit them, but to give them an opportunity to A, make money, but B, also showcase their own unique history and culture to travelers from around the world. And the other prong approach is with child welfare. And I'm sure everyone that's listening to this presentation has been in a situation where they've seen a child, asking to buy something from them or asking them for change or whatever the case may be. And then that's an unfortunate byproduct of tourism or globalization as a whole. But what we can do as an organization is build a framework and understanding throughout our trips, and this is part of our booking process and our on-tour experiences, is that we want children to be safe. And so simple things like we don't advocate taking photos of children, right? So that's purposely why this photo has the back of this young lady instead of her face. And the other idea is just having common sense. And when I say that is, if you wouldn't do something here in Canada, don't do it there. Prime example is you would never walk into a random school and take photos of children in their school.
Right.
So don't do that when you go away, right? Like, yes, you might be curious on why they do or how they educate it, but that's for someone to tell you, not for you necessarily to experience. And that's just a simple process with that. The next aspect is how we actually travel and how we're a little bit different. So with small groups, it's a maximum of 16 people, but that's average of 12. So when you think about that, that's like 3 families. That's 6 couples from around the globe kind of traveling together. So it's an intimate experience. And what people don't necessarily associate with adventure travel is the older demographic that actually are attracted to this, right? So these are the travelers in Canada. And as you can see, we definitely have a strong 20 to 40, say, demographic. And then that's especially then when they're having their families and their kids. So there's a little bit of a lull. But then what we see is that 50, 55 and older, that's the demographic that travels with us. It's the people that have traveled the world extensively with various other types of trips, and they want to connect a little bit more with the destination and its people. And they do that simply by picking the right trip for them based on their interest. So in sake of time, I'm just going to quickly go through these, but we do have various amounts of different travel styles. Everything from our classic trips, which I call our buffet style of trips, where you can have a little bit of everything without committing to a certain degree of activity. We've got a great partnership with National Geographic where we run design trips curated with unique content for them. For those that like to sweat and be active on their trips, we've got those trips. But we've also got the trips for people that want to be a little bit more intimate of experiences. Our sailing experiences are going to like Antarctica or the Arctic. We have that. Or if people just want to unwind, the last year or so has been a pretty stressful time for a lot of people. Maybe
Absolutely.
a great yoga trip in Costa Rica or in Bali is really up your alley. And the other one I want to touch base is the family aspect. If anything that this pandemic has done is showed the value of family, and specifically even the immediate family. A lot of us haven't been able to connect with our cousins, our extended family. I cannot think of a better way to reconnect is by traveling with them. And we've got this fantastic partnership with National Geographic in a family's journey. And I wanted to showcase one more video that kind of paints the picture of how amazing it is to travel with the little ones. And even, maybe the grandparents as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's how they learn. It's better than a textbook, right?
100%.
You are my favorite place to go. You're at the end of my favorite road. Above the rest, you're the best I know. You are my favorite shade of rose. A flower bed on my favorite stone. I love the ground where your roots have grown. You're my favorite place.
And
Beautiful.
Yeah, it always gets me a little like emotional kind of idea, but
Yeah.
it's, you know, travel is not only a great escape, but it's a great education. And
Mhm.
traveling with children gives us the opportunity for children to understand and appreciate cultures from around the world. And, you know, for our Canadian listeners, I mean, we're blessed. We live in a very multicultural country, and we're exposed to a lot of different cultures just by staying home. But the idea of traveling with children allows us to raise travelers and not tourists, and see the appreciation for, you know, what we have, but also what other countries have, just in a different, they just put a different value on things.
And the thing is, our children are going to be going beyond us. So if they can see the value of the footprint, of travel footprint, of protecting it and carrying it on, then that's going to really extend this great travel sustainability right through into other generations, which will be great.
Absolutely. And the generation that's coming up now, they're valuing experiences over material possessions. So these types of experiences that they would have, you know, whilst traveling, are things that they're going to hold, you know, in equivalent value to, say, a car or a house or whatever the case may be, by, you know, some of our
Exactly.
core travelers. So, but what we understand is, you know, all those things are great, but we're now emerging, that we're coming out of the tunnel with the light at the end, and we need to be conscious of what's out there and what kind of policies are out there to protect, you know, ourselves while we travel, but also our travel investment. Because I believe when you put $1 down, you put $10,000 down, whatever it is, it's an investment. So the first thing I wanted to quickly mention was the travel with confidence policy. And that's just basically, it's a really long document that Susan can definitely provide you if you want, you know, to sit down with a nice tea or a glass of wine and read. But the idea is we've got you, our travelers, in mind. We want to protect you, and we want to protect the individuals that we're visiting, right? Because we also realize that the first world is going to be vaccinated before the majority of the destinations we go to. So we need to ensure that we've got all the things in place to ensure that we're safe, but also the people that are that are trusting us to have these experiences are protected as well. And with that, we've also kind of laid out framework and partnerships. So the World Travel and Tourism Council has deemed our trips that, as we relaunch, they all are qualified to be travel safe. In addition, the organization we're a part of, called ATA, or the Adventure Travel Trade Association, has developed guidelines that all of our itineraries have passed, and that's developed in collaboration with the Cleveland Clinic. So what we're doing is ensuring that everything that the ideas that we're pushing out, the itineraries we want to, the reduced group size, whatever the case may be, all falls in line with these principles. And that starts with obviously ensuring that our chief experience officers or our ideas of tour leaders are there and can educate you right from the get-go of what the processes and procedures are within that country, so that you can adhere to that. To ensure that our group sizes are smaller than they were before. So as much as our group size maximum is 16, there are some trips in the 2021 and potentially into early 2022 that have, you know, 8 to 10 people on those as a maximum, to keep those group sizes smaller. We've also worked with every single one of our hotel partners globally and says, okay, well, what processes do you have in place to ensure the safety? And that's simple things like obviously not having no buffet meals, maybe for like breakfast or whatever the case may be. So we've eliminated those. The simple things of staying on lower floors so people don't have to take a lift, right, and push buttons on there, or be in a confined elevator space. All those little things have been put in place. And it really then culminates to the idea of booking with confidence. And with us at G Adventures, we have what we refer to as lifetime deposits. So in order to secure one of these life-changing experiences with Susan, all you need to do is put $350 down per person on our regular trips. That's a little bit more for the expedition to Antarctica, but when you put that down, you will never lose that money. It's put down there. If you have basically up to 30 days prior to the date of your travel to say, I'm committing and I'm going on this, and then paying the remaining deposit or the remaining amount. You also could book a trip, let's say to Italy today, and tomorrow say, no, I want to go to Iceland. Not a problem at all. We just literally move that money over. And as we are hoping more and more destinations open up, if something goes awry, meaning, we have the intention of running a trip in Italy in September, but Italy doesn't open up, we'll know way before that 30-day mark. And then we will communicate through Susan to say, here are some great options. And then it's up to you as a traveler to decide where you want to go and when. But if you put a pause on it, that money just sits in a virtual bank waiting for you to utilize or gift it to a family member or a friend. And for inspiration, we've made things a lot easier, and I'm sure Susan can put this on maybe on our Facebook page or whatever the case may be. We do have 3 amazing e-brochures out there. Our 18 to 30 something, it's our youth-based products available. Our Earth brochure captures everything into one massive brochure. And then obviously we've got our partnership with National Geographic, and that's got its own brochure. And those are all available to take a look at, to peruse, to understand and appreciate maybe where you want to go to next, and then to reach out to Susan to help facilitate that for you. But that really kind of wraps up things on my end. I will throw it back to Susan, and just Susan, let me know if you want me to progress to the next slide.
Yeah, you can just do the next slide. But the thing is, we really appreciate that, Sean, because travel is happening, even though Canada has restrictions, but people are not being shy about booking. So they're realizing that trips are getting booked up and destinations are getting booked up. So with G-Adventures, it's an experience. It's a travel experience. It's a travel lifestyle. It's a way to really help see how we can sustain our communities in various parts of the world. And wow, you could do it as a family, as groups, as it's definitely through small groups. But the thing is, we can have confidence that they are looking after us. They want to make it safe here, but they also are making it safe for the other people in different countries and their communities. So awesome. Thank you so very much, Sean, for coming on board and helping us realize what G-Adventures, especially starting as a Canadian company. But listen, the people that are in the United States and other countries, hey, I can help you get to those destinations. Your travel is going right now. So that's the key. We want you to be impacted by what G-Adventures is doing and have that awesome adventurous experience, because it's a life changer, especially certain destinations, isn't it, Sean? So,
well, you know what? The reason I have the privilege of speaking to you guys today is because I went on a G-Adventures trip. I was doing something completely different, and I went on a trip, and that was well over 10 years ago, and I decided, no, this has such an impact, and so it's so different than what I had experienced in the past. I guarantee there's a reason why we literally have a 97% return rate on it, and that return rate's traditionally 6 to 9 months out. They're booking their next experiences, because it's a different style of travel. You feel like you're a part of the culture, and you don't feel like you're a tourist. You're not in that big bus looking out and seeing what's going on out there. No, you're living in it.
Yeah.
And if you've ever seen some of those great festivals and such around the world, that's what you get to experience. I mean, for instance, Thai New Year just finished. And Thai New Year is an amazing experience. And you know what? If you go in the second week of April, anytime, and you get a part of that. So you're not hiding behind. You get your super soaker, I guess, and you go out there and you have fun and understand why it's such a magical experience. And I would love to see more of you on those types of experiences in the future.
And I think that's the thing, is just stepping out of that regular mentality of travel to new adventures, new experiences, and people will come back and say, wow, they've been inspired through this travel experience, or they've been rejuvenated in a different way and impacted. And that's what travel does for everybody, whether you're a family, group, individual, solo, whatever the case may be. So it's awesome that G Adventures has joined us today and talked about what they are doing for us and how they are really helping you and I to have that adventure of the lifetime and that experience, and really come back and go, wow, I'm glad I went and I'm ready to go again. So that's the key. So please don't wait to book, because lots of these beautiful destinations are already being booked up into 2022 already. So if there's a special destination, let's get this rolling for you. Put your deposit on. Remember, you never lose it. So anyway, thanks again, Sean, for dropping in and talking about it to us today, and how we can get those individuals and get them excited that, wow, they're going to have the adventure of their lifetime, right?
Absolutely. I can guarantee you're going to have an amazing experience, regardless of where you go, whether it's closer to home to start off or it's a long flight away. It doesn't matter. You'll have a great thing, and I guarantee you'll find lifelong friends from whatever experience you have. And thank you again for having me on.
Awesome. Okay, everybody, please keep smiling, be healthy, stay safe. Travel is happening. Let's just get your destination and your experience booked so that you can get started when things open up here. But for other countries, we can get you rolling already. So let's go. So take care, everybody, and enjoy and be safe. Bye.
Bye-bye.